Hey everybody, and welcome back. Right, well, we're going to do the wiring this week. So before we get on to that, there's a couple of things to tell you. One is I've been playing around with the camera with a thing called the white balance. I'm not going to tell you about what that is. Some of you know, some of you don't. Basically, I was trying to stop this, which is a very nice red, from appearing orange, which it does. I noticed as I was doing the video. So it's the very bright white light, the temperature of the light from these LEDs. So at the moment I've got the LEDs here switched off because it's just too bright. My face looks white if I don't switch them off. So I'll be interested to see when I check this bit of video whether this is looking redder because it's darker. Anyway, so if I can't solve it, just bear with me until we actually get outside, and then you'll see how red the red is. Okay, what else? Oh, some bad news. I've had a bit of a loss. An old friend has gone. I was out this morning on the tractor with the brush hog, which is like a big lawnmower thing that goes behind the tractor, doing the hillside to keep the brambles down. And I was going along, I ducked under a tree, and that's when it happened. The tree pulled my hat off and I ran over it with the brush hog. So I'm afraid that is done for. Never mind. I'll have to start wearing my Sunday best one. So Vicky, you've got to send me another hat. Right. What else? Well, we're going to do the wiring. So what we're going to do with the wiring is, I'm not going to do the ends, you know, the snap connectors and things, the spade connectors, because I don't want to have lots of wires. I want to have them in a sheath, which I've got. But obviously I can't feed it through if it's got things on the ends. So what we'll do is we'll lay out the wires so that we know where they're going to go and they're long enough to have some extra at each end. Then we'll sheathe them all up, and then when that's done we can make the various fittings to go on here and this end and what have you, all the other stuff. So we will start on that as soon as I solve my other little problem, which is the fact that I'm damned if I can find the wiring diagram I showed you in last week's video. Now if you thought there was a couple of strange things mentioned in the video, that's because I actually videoed that a few weeks ago. I did that to sort of bulk out the video because I thought I had a very short video, and then when I came to do it I had plenty, so I didn't put it in. But I sort of make a couple of references in that little section to other things that had happened in that video. Not that it's of any importance, but just for those of you who sort of thought, well, why did you say that? Anyway, I've lost it. If the worst comes to worst, I'll go and look at the video, pause it, do a screen dump, a screenshot thing, and print that out. But anyway, I'm going to go and find it, so you have a cup of tea, and hopefully by the time you've finished that, I'll have found the wiring diagram and we can start running some wires out. Right, we'll start with the simplest circuit first, which is the ignition one. And the ignition has got earth, which we will deal with, and an orange, and that orange normally goes onto the coil right there. Okay, that's it. So these all come, well, that's the black and white I mentioned, which would go to a kill switch. Oh, hold on one second. That was Steam Shot on the phone. He's done my cylinder. So today's Monday, I'll go and collect that on Wednesday. Right, what was I saying? Oh yeah, these three come from the pickup from where the alternator was. So they go into our ignition unit, CDI, and then the white one from there goes into there. Sorry, the orange one goes into there. So what we're going to do, actually, there you go, look, that's orange, that's red. So what we're going to do is we need to go from here, all we're going to do is go from here up to here, These are the two wires from the ignition switch, and in and an out. So from that orange is going to go up onto one side, another orange come back and go onto there. So I've got some orange wire, let me cut that. So there's the orange ones on. I'm just going to stick them up with some bits of tape. So it reaches from there right up to there. It's nice and nice and loose. So the next thing we're going to do, what we're doing is our long runs. So we need next to get from the power pack, the red one on the power pack. How does that red look? Now that red has got to go up there, but it's also got to go down here. So we're going to need a piece of red that will go from that all the way up into the top. So that's going to need to be a fair old length. So we'll cut that. Okay, that's going to have to be able to go all the way up to the top through there. That. It's going to have to come down here, and obviously this is plenty long, so we're all right there. Now then, so that's the power that's going to go up to the light switch. But what it's also going to do here is it's going to go into this little doodad, which is our flasher unit. And it's also going to go into, although I haven't got it on yet, the rear brake light. Now the rear brake, oh, my back's aching. That's bumping around on that bloody tractor this morning. Let me just bring this over. See, I'm not worried about this because it's got nice long lead. Again, as I mentioned before, they put the same colour wires on. I don't know why. I mean, if you're going to make something up, why don't you do it properly? Anyway, that's going to be over there. So we've got lots of wire. So coming out of this here, we're going to have two wires. Right? One is going to be this one to go up and feed the top, and the other one is going to be feeding these two things here. So what I need, right, is we'll put the two wires into a male one, bonk, like that, and then this one is going to be a short one, and on the end of that we'll put a double connector, and then we can connect up the brake one and this one. All right, so let's put that there with that as well. Okay, now then, the other wire that's going to run all the way from one end to the other end, well, there's going to be three actually, are going to be four actually. One of these has got to go up to the handlebar lever. Then from up here we've got to have a green wire, which, oh, I haven't got any green. Oh, yes I have. In fact, I've got something interesting there. We're going to have a green wire that will come up from this light switch, so that when we switch the lights on, we're going to feed that, and we're going to feed all the way to the backlight. So that wants to be about year long, and it wants to be green. Now then, I didn't have a coil of green wire, and while I was rummaging around, I have no idea what this is off. It's the right gauge, it's about 18 gauge, 20 gauge. It's green and brown. Now it just so happens that I want standard Lucas colours for the rear light, a green for the light and brown for the brake light, if memory serves me correct. So I am going to need a brown one all the way from this brake light switch. Ta-da! So we can shorten that, and we can use this look you, because I've got some brown wire. So what we'll do is we'll make this long enough so that it will reach right up to the light switch. The brown we can shorten so that it will connect to this. And, hang on a second, let's just, that there like that. That needs to go all the way. This is quite long. The one needs to come back to about here. Right. So I don't know if I'm keeping you in focus all the time or whatever, you know. But anyway. Right, so that's going to go there. Now what we're going to do with that, of course, is we also need a brown from our brake light down here. So that's our green, that's fine. And what I might do is break into this here and put another little brown on. We can fix it all into that. So that is a full length piece. Right, so that's going to go there. Now then, the only other full length pieces we need, there are going to be two of them, are for our indicators, right? Because we're going to send one of these all the way up there, so it's powered in. Again, red and black I don't like, because you would think black is going to be the earth, but it's not. We're feeding power in, and that's going to be power out, going bink, 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 bink when the connection's made. So, my mind's gone blank. So let's think, what am I thinking about? So I need one of these, which is going to, we know is going to go that red, that's fine. So the other one is got to go all the way up to connect into this. And then we're going to need to be able to come from this all the way to those back ones, right? So we need something to catch. That's two wires to go the whole length, which will have to be different colours, and one for there. So let me look, see what colours I've got. Right, well, I've got pink, I've got blue, and I've got white still to go. So this is the little bit of bump, the wiring thing and whatever that came with this. So the right hand turn signal, it says is light blue, so we'll do that in blue. Unfortunately, the left hand turn signal is orange, and we don't want to use orange because we're already using that for ignition. So we could do that in pink, right? That'll work all right. So we need a long pink and a long blue. It's got to go all the way from there to there. So this is getting confusing, isn't it? But as I say, I'm just trying to get the wires. So that's got to go back to this. Can you see that? Hang on, I've got to get up and look. No, you can't. You can only see to here. So anyway, we've got the wires coming from there, and they are, funnily enough, black and brown. Would you believe? Are they the same at this end? That's black and green. Hang on. That's black and green. So I'm going to swap these over just to keep them the same. Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm talking to myself. So, we need a pink to go from the back. Right up to the front into that. So let me cut that. That's pink. And then I'll cut a blue. Now of course the wires from the dip switch are not your standard Lucas colours. Standard Lucas colours would be, what is it, solid blue for one filament and blue and white for the other filament, I think. So we're going to have to do whatever we can. So we're going to have two of these, and then we're going to have short ones up at the front to go to those indicators, although those wires are long. So that's got to reach back to there. So that's going to go on about there, like that. And that's going to go all the way up oh, come on, bit of tape. Stop messing me about. Right. That's going to go in there with that. Right, so let's see what we've got. We've got our, I found the, tell you how well this was hidden. I picked this book up and looked. It was like that, and I looked at it and sort of looked at a couple of pages and thought, no, it's not there. There it is. Alright, so ignition. All we needed full length was the oranges, which we've got. Lights. Again, all we needed full length was the red, which we've got, and a green, which we've got. Then the horn is all wired at the front end, so we don't have any long ones going. Indicators, we needed two long ones, which we've got, blue and pink. And then brake lights, the only long one we've got is a brown, which is there with our green. So let's get some sheathing and slide all that in, and then we can start looking at the ends. Right, I'll just turn one light out. I've got a last bit of video on. Well, my face was white from this light up here. So while I was looking at the video, I suddenly thought to myself, wait a minute, these indicators have green on one side, brown on the other side. So why don't I just use that to do my indicators front to back? But then, of course, they wouldn't match up with the colours in this. I can't quite match up with the colours in that. Same with everything. Now the ones that goes at the back light, funnily enough, a green one and a brown one and a yellow and green one. I've got to check to see which is filament and which is return. So that almost matches there. I'm just going to have to, oh, and I still have one more wire because I'm forgetting I have to go, where is it? All the way up. See, that's black, which I don't want to use because I want to use black for the earth, the ground wire. So I'll probably use white to go from that up into this. There is a white wire, of course, but it is unfortunately, where are we? White. That's low beam. What's, hang on. Turn signal main is grey. Don't have any grey wire. As I say, today's Monday. I wonder if I could buy another couple of different colours of wire. Let me think about it. Right, well, I thought I'd just had a brilliant idea, because I suddenly thought to myself, wait a minute, these indicators, one pair have a green wire and one pair have a brown wire, and I'm running a brown and green from front to back. I put them on my indicators. That'll keep it simple, but it's not going to be simple. I can't get any wires, hardly any wires to match up. There are 3 wires come from the rear light: an earth, a brown, a green and yellow. And I was, you remember, going to run a brown and green for the back light, but the green wire, the back light, is the earth. The brown wire is the light, and I was going to use it as the brake light, and the brake light is the green and yellow. So can't get them to match up there. And as I say, the indicators, where I was thinking I was so but the indicators where I could run this brown and green and it would match up to the ones at the actual indicators themselves, but of course they won't match up to the colours in here, because the 2 colours in here are orange and light blue. So I might use that brown and green. That at least makes it easy to connect up those indicators. Hang on, what's the power in for the indicator? So I just said, didn't I, grey. Turn signal main, grey. If I got some grey wire, that would match that up, and then, although no, the one's coming out wouldn't match. Obviously when I do this, when it's all finalised, I'm going to have to make up not only a wiring diagram to go with the bike, but also a little thing like I'm putting together here to show. See there, like I've got rear light, brown is the light, the green is the earth, green and yellow is the brake light, and then here I'll put what they connect to. Pain in the bum, but let me once more give it a bit of thought. Right, well, it's another day. Been down to the, actually I've been to 2 auto suppliers. Nobody had any grey wire, and nobody had any of these type of bullet connectors that I use. And the price of the little sort of blister packs of bullet connectors was unbelievable. So anyway, I've cut the plug off here. This is what goes up to the handlebar switch. I've made it one little double thing here that's gone on to the output from the light switch. So that is yellow, which matches that. That is power in to the dip switch. So as I said, it was pointless using the multi-connector here and then plugging the multi-connector in and then having tails on. I knew this was going to be long enough. So we'll put a female on there, and that will be our power in. What I've decided to do, because I've got to order a couple of things, is I'm going to do all the fittings on this end. I can still slide the sleeve up from the other end, and it's taking some thinking about. So as I say, that will go on there. So that will plug to that. That's my power going to the light switch, to the dip switch, sorry, from the power outside of the light switch. Now then, can't remember what I told you yesterday, see? But I did find out that the blue and the white, or the dark blue and the white, are low beam and high beam, and that matches up with the ones on the actual light fitting. Hold on a second. See, those that dark blue and white go to that dark blue and white. So as soon as they've already got connectors on, I'm going to use the different type of female connectors for there. This green is earth. Right, so that will be all those done. Now the next thing I'm going to do after I put them on is these. Right, I've swapped these over, so I've got, where are we? Brown on the left hand side, green on the right hand side. And it just suddenly struck me, as I say, I shortened these. Purely by chance, I shortened a green one and a brown one. I don't think I knew what was going on. Where's my little card thing gone? There it is. Right, so what I'm going to do, try to get as much done as I can with the things I've got left, is, where are we? Left turn is orange. Right turn is light blue. Light blue, light blue, light blue. So those two are the right and left out. The in, hang on, it with the grey was the in, wasn't it? Yeah. So that one is power going up. So that's going to go up from our flasher, come out to the right and the left. So what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to put a double connector on them. I've got 3 double connectors left, so I'm going to put a double connector on each of those. That way I can connect the front light to it and the wire coming up from the rear indicator to it, so power will be going out to both indicators, okay, on each side. So let me do up. Blue is for the rear light. Doesn't match when it gets to the other end, but we'll think of something down there. I think I'll see if I can get one of those packs while I'm ordering stuff of multicoloured shrink tube, and that way I could, whatever the wire is down that end, brown or green, I could put a piece of blue shrink on it, and then I would know it would match up with the blue wire that's going down there. So let me do this yellow one and do the long blue one. Now I don't want the video to get too boring, just showing you the same thing over and over again, so we'll do it in batches. Right, so I have got female yellow on there to go with that. This is the one that runs all the way to the back, so female blue on there. There's our backlight. Then I've put the right matching females, you see the different, for this to go on our light unit. So we've got high and low beam. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is some power into this light switch, some red ones, and I've got to do a bit of thinking here because I've got several reds. I need to feed red into the light switch, obviously. So that's power. I need to feed power to the horn, and I need to feed power to the brake light, and I need to feed power to, I took it out so I could get this switch, to the little electrical bit for the speedometer. So my one red, I'm thinking I might run 2 reds from down there, so that I don't end up, because I don't have too many double ones left and I need to use them for other things. So that's that done. Let me do a few more and I'll bring it back. Right then, just had a cheese and piccalilli sandwich, and while I was chewing on that I ordered some grey wire, some bullet connectors and a couple of other things. Right, so what I've also done is the reds. You'll see there's actually 3 different lengths here. So this one is going to be our power in. It's going to go back and connect with the red coming up from down there. Suddenly struck me because the horn was just there. Hope I've made this long enough. Yep. I'm going to put a spade connector, you know, the female type spade connector on there, and that can just go straight onto the horn, I think. Unless I wire it up. As I say, this, where are we? In amongst these, there's a horn in and a horn out. Black is the horn out, and light green. So what I'm thinking of doing is just black, very nice. I'll do that to earth. So we're going to power into the horn, and then out of the horn, into there, and up to there, press the switch, down here to earth, horn works. So that's that. And this little one is to connect to the power input for the speedometer. So let me put a couple of ends and things on those. Alright, first mistake. Well, not so much a mistake, but you remember this dip switch has got a little LED on it for high beam? I meant to wire that into the high beam. I've just tested it. When you put power on this one, it comes on. So that's all it needs. So I've got to cut this off and redo it so they're spliced in together. Alright? Right, well, another section done. What I've done here is I put a little hole, I don't know if you can see this, put a little hole in that and managed to fish this one out. So that is horn. So I've put a spade connector on it. That'll actually go straight onto the horn. And then here is power for the horn. That'll go on there. And then this one we'll put in with the earths. And then that way we've got power on this side. It'll go down into the horn, out of the horn, up that, then out through the switch and onto that, and up to earth, so the horn will work. Right, what else have I done? Put these through here. I think I'm going to make up a little cover plate or something, go in here, mount on that bolt there. So, what else did I do? Where's it got? There's the dark blue high beam all spliced in with the dark green to go back to that little LED to show us when high beam's on. And I've also put on a double connector there and a double connector there. So they're the two outs, right and left, or left and right, whichever. So what we'll have is this side, brown one will go in that, and then the brown that's coming all the way from the indicator at the back will go in that, and then that's the earth, so that'll go into an earth. I think what I'm going to do there is I've got one double one left, so I might pull an earth wire up here, doubled up with a double connector on, and then we can just put that and that black into that double connector. As I say, what I'm thinking is we'll bundle all these up here, and then I'll make a nice little plate, because I've got space here, come from that bolt up in there, just to cover them over. But that can be done later on. Alright, so I'll leave the small live one, because that's going to go to, hang on, I'll show you. I thought I'd lost this, and then I rummaged around and found it. Okay, that's the little connector that goes on to the speedometer. Red is in, let me think. One's in, one's out, which I think is the blue, and the orange one is the power into the little, it's backlit. So we'll put the power in, it's got it as on a switch, but actually we won't do that. So we'll put those two together. So when we've got power, it's going to go to the actual speedo, and it's going to go to the little light, and that will come out to the earth. So let me look at some earths, I think. Right, we've got some more done. Okay. Put a bit of shrink tube on that just to tidy that up. females on there. This is the ignition switch, and then down here to come through there, there's the two ignition ones, right? So that's the ignition finished. Now then, where are they? Here I've put two males on the green and the brown that's going to go right and left, so they go into the double one. See, let's say that's, what is that, what side is that? That's brown. So the brown one will go in that double one, and that brown will go in that double one, and that's the right left hand indicators connected up to the switch. Right, I'm running out of connectors. What I've decided to do, I had a bunch of earths. You know, we've got to have an earth for the headlamp, we've got to have an earth for these. I think what I'm going to do with these is run one earth wire up with a double connector on, and then I can just put those two earths together into that double connector, right? So that'll be those done. Then we need, as I say, an earth for the headlight, we need an earth for the horn, we're going to need an earth for the speedo. I think that's it. And we're going to need the actual earth wire itself, which is going to go back down to the engine. So what I need, if you like, is one earth coming up to here to connect to those three other earths that I need, and I'm pretty sure that's all of them. With the indicators taken care of, that's the speedo, the headlight and the horn, because the brake doesn't have an earth here, it's power in and power out. Right, so that's going to be red in, and I think I've decided on pink out. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of, hang on while I get them. Some of those, some, what are they? Ring fittings. It's getting late in the day. And I was thinking, oh, you know, how am I going to, like I had to get these three here, sorted that out, but I was going to have to get three earth connections onto it, and they all had to, because they were all coming from separate things, they all have to be able to disconnect. So I couldn't just solder them together. Headlight's got to be able to come off, you know, that switch gear's got to be able to come off, so on. So I suddenly thought, I know what I'll do. I'm thinking about, as I say, some sort of cowl here. What I'll do, either down here or up there, is I'll make that into an earth post. I'm not making it the earth, but what we'll have is we'll have the three earths going to it, and then the earth wire that's going to go to the back or to the engine. So I'm not earthing it through the frame. These three individual earths will be clamped up with the actual earth wire going back to the engine, and that'll just so simplify it. Alright, I'll probably put it, actually I think I'll put it on that one, because I'm going to be getting a bit cluttered up the top here, and I have to decide how I'm going to cover these wires in. I can't make a bottom for this. I thought of making, you know, make a bottom which has a lip that goes up inside. Yes, I could make a complete bottom. I can't weld it in, but if I have a lip that goes on the inside, see, I don't really want things stuck in this. So I don't want to have any bolts or screws in that. Which is why using that bolt back there just to make a little cover would be nice. And I can't weld it on because I've got to be able to get it, the clamp for the speedometer and stuff. But that's down the road. We'll think of that later on. I can start doing these earths. Right, well, I spent yesterday evening taxing my little brain about things here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill and hole there and tap it, and then out of 16th inch alloy I'm going to make this. I've got some red rubber tubing, thin, 1/4 inch, something like that, which I'll use to put around that. So that I thought to myself, if I mount a cover here, and then I suddenly remembered that the mountings for the Speedo, which I've put back in, stick down like 3/8 of an inch below the nut. So there's plenty of room to put a piece on there. So I made this up. It's going to go inside like that, bolt to there, and it's going to go in there like that. Then all the wires will be up inside there, out of the way, and this will be my pillar, or actually I could put it inside so you wouldn't even see those wires. I mean, I could put all the earth wires on and then put this up. So yeah, that would look even nicer, I think. Then you wouldn't even see the earth wires coming down to here. So that'll go like that. Little red rubber around the edges. And that'll hide all our wiring and provide the spot for connecting the earths. So I'll cut that. I don't have these at M4 4mm metric bolts, so I'll have to do that. But anyway, so that's what I'm going to do there. I also had a thought about the wires going to the backlight. So let me show you what I've thought about doing there. Right, well, the first thing is, I never noticed this when I was painting it, but there's no holes anywhere along here on the back mudguard for the wires to come out. They must run along the side or something on this. Well, I don't like that. I want them to go under the mudguard. So what I'm going to do is drill a hole about here. Put some tape on it and everything so as not to sort of make the paint flake or anything. Then we'll put a grommet. We'll just put a little bit of white paint with a brush to seal that drilled edge. And then what I normally do, if I do this after painting, when I put the grommet in, I actually put some grease in the grommet, not in the centre hole of the grommet, but in the lip of the grommet, so that when I put it on, it's nicely seals that up against getting any damping and rusting. So I've got that to do, but then I was thinking about these wires. Yeah, you can see them. Now, what I'm going to do is extend them a bit to come out through here. So what I will do when I extend them is I will extend them with the colours that are going to be in the wiring harness. So in other words, the earth, which is I think is the green one, I'll extend that with a piece of black wire. The light, which I think is the brown, is going to be a blue piece of wire, and the brake light is going to be the pink. And then by the time they're all nicely sealed up, and I've put some more shrink tubing on so you don't see them, all you'll have coming out the end of this wire here is the right colours to match the ones going to the rear end. So there we go. What do you think of that? I think that will work fine. So let me cut some alloy and we'll make this front plate. Right, well, I suppose I should have videoed this for you, but all I've done is bent up a piece and put some holes in. So see, I've got a hole there and I've got two holes here. So that'll go on there like that. We're going to drill and tap that there. And I've cut this slightly smaller than in there. And what I'm going to do is put a rubber edge on. As I say, I've got some thin rubber tubing that I've split, put on there, and then that way it won't do that at all. I mean, it shouldn't do with 3 mounting points, particularly those two there, but it'll make it a nice tight fit when I put it in there. So we'll polish all this up a little bit. I'll mark that, tap it, drill it, quarter fine, and then as I say, I'm wondering about, see, that'll nicely hide all the wires. Should I actually I've got to get, I think I just said I've got to get some 4mm nuts, but once I've put a bolt in there, that'll hold that. I've got to find the rubber as well, so let me do that. So there it is with a screw in it, a bolt in it. As I say, I'll polish it up a bit, and when I've completely finished the wires we'll put that up and then we'll put the headlamp in. And I think that works well. I could seal the ends up, but I don't think that's necessary. I think that looks fine. Or should I make some little... Nah. No, that's good. Alright, let me do those earth connections. Right, well, I've been making up some connections and I've run out of connectors, so they may be here on Friday, in which case I'll do some more, they may not. I had a thought, and I have used this bolt up here as my post. So I've got an earth that's going to go back there, that's this one. I've got an earth up to the dip switch and I've got an earth to this. I haven't done an earth to the headlight because the headlamp shell's got a little earthing clamp in it, and I've checked the continuity through this, and that bolt going into this part and this going in the headlamp is a really good connection, so I didn't have to run one for that. I've decided I'm going to shorten these. That's just too much to jam up in there. See, I can do those nice and short, so I'll shorten them, but I'll need some more males. Now then, what else? Oh yes, I nearly slipped up because I put the wires in. These are the wires for the electrics in the speedo, and I'd forgotten that of course the plug sticks down a little bit, and that plate was going up almost to the bottom of the speedo, but fortunately there's just enough room to get that in, but there wasn't enough space to get this in and bend it like that. So what I have done, as well as polishing it up a bit, is I put a hole in there, so that goes like that, and this thing will go up through that, and then we'll run it down the back. So that's that done. I've also done some stuff at the back. So I've put the hole and the grommet in the back mudguard, and I've extended the 3 wires from the rear light and sheathed them, so they are now the same colours as are going to be on the wiring harness. So black is earth, blue is the ordinary light, pink is the brake light. So they'll just connect up nicely when I get some connectors. I'm going to make a little piece underneath to hold the wires up out of the way, which will go onto... Let me move you. Now you can't actually see it, but underneath here there are 2 mounting bolts from the frame. So I'm just going to make a little clip that'll hold the cables up out the way. Alright, so as I say, we're now in abeyance for the wiring more or less until bits come, I think. Right, well, just fiddling around, fill time in. I've got a 12 volt battery here. I've connected it to the red, so there's power in. Actually, things are earthing well at this end. So earth it, and horn works. So I've at least got that wiring right. Well, I said I'd give an update on the Henderson. I almost forgot. So here's our 4 con rods back with their new Babbitt bearings in there, and they've got new shims. These are the type of shims that are like, it's a sort of bunch of compressed sheets. So you buy them, whatever thickness that is, 1/16 of an inch or so, 60, 70 thou, and then as you need to adjust them, you can just sort of peel a very thin layer off. So there's the 4 of them. For those of you, it was a long time ago, remember the pistons don't have any circlips in to hold the gudgeon pin. The gudgeon pin actually clamps up, and the clamp bolt, it's like a gear change lever, you know, where the shaft has a little recess in it, so it not only clamps on, but the bolt that clamps goes in that recess and stops it from moving. Well, that's what stops the gudgeon pin from sliding out. The gudgeon pin's got a little recess in it, and that bolt actually locks it in. So the other thing that came back from Ohio, finally, there's our reground camshaft. So that's all nicely done. Now, just to update you, you may remember that the place that did the Babbitt was going to try and do the line boring for the main bearings. They said they couldn't do it after a long time. They sent it off to a place in California. The place in California said, oh, there's two different types of Henderson engine. We can only do one type, and it's not the one you sent us. So then it came back to Ohio. Then, after all this, lots of research from Jim and I, we found out that there's somebody local that can do it, because he does it for the guys that have Hendersons and things that do this cannonball run which goes from the east coast to the west coast. So it's now there. But they were a little bit surprised that these, instead of showing the boring marks, had been bead blasted. And when they looked at it, we think what might have happened is one of the two places that were going to do it tried to do it, couldn't, and have sort of cleaned them up to make it look all right. But haven't got the final word yet. They might have taken so much off the new Babbitt that they're now the ID is too big for the reground crank, which could mean they have to be re-Babbitted again. So that's still all in abeyance. So I showed you the pistons before. Steam shop's back now, so we can slowly get those other 3 barrels, because he did one, just honed, because there's not a lot of meat, and then we'll be ready for that. So still waiting on line boring. Alright, so my stuff arrived Saturday afternoon, so I've had a little play around. I managed to get the connections done at the big front. So I've just connected the battery up. So as you can see, the speedometer's working. Horn's working. One light. Where are we? So the light. Oh, now why isn't that working? The little LED isn't on the top of the light switch. Thought that would come on. Bugger. So I'll have to have a little look at that. I mean, it's nothing, but... Okay. Just disconnect that. There we go. Hold on a second. Right, so there you can see, got our headlight in, got that in, wires are tucked in there, put this on, the long bit of cables wound up in the back of the headlight as I thought it would be, goes up and into there, so everything's done. Yeah, you can just see it. I've got the sheath there. The only thing I have to put in it is the earth wire, because what I'm going to do is about here, I'm going to put a little hole in this, feed that through and out so it can be earthed actually onto the engine. These two here have to go to that. That's power up to the brake light switch, and then power out, and that'll go back. So I'll just do the back end, because it must be pretty boring just watching wiring. I would have thought so anyway. So maybe I could have done with ends on there. I can always take this off and redo it, just to completely hide the wires. Anyway, think about that. It's going to be 90 degrees today. Well, it is. I mean, this is Saturday afternoon. Alright, so that's as much as we can do for this week. I've updated you on the Henderson, and oh, hang on. Don't know if you can see that. Another absolutely perfect job from Steam Shop. So next week we will build the top end of the engine, make my little lifting handles, and we'll put the engine in and go from there. So until then, stay safe and enjoy yourselves.